Holy cow. So this is, let me think. We'll call this episode 8. And welcome Arvind, right? For this wonderful podcast. We're kind of doing two of you back to back, but totally different things. Today, I think we love to focus on our Japan trip together, which was with a whole group of people. I forget how many exactly, like 7 or 9 people. I forget. But anyways, a group of us, we all went to Japan earlier this year. And this 1 week time, we did some amazing things because the intent and the goal was about healing. And I remember Mickey, the group leader, asking each of us to have an intention around healing in a way that levels up our system so that we can be a brighter light, be of greater service to the world and whatever it's going through. Do you agree with that, Arvind? Is that what you heard from Mickey too for the intention of the group?
Yes. So, Mickey is a master healer, um, and also Starseed,
Yes.
which we, uh, some of us may know. It's not totally unusual term I discovered, but I personally, I
Yeah.
guess, humble Buddhist, you know, we never really encountered that word, at least in our school,
Mm-hmm.
and which means really being coming down
Yes.
from outside of the earth, right? Many
Yes.
people incarnate on the earth, and maybe that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But this star seed was was did exist outside of the earth, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna incarnate in the earth. Um, and yeah, she's a star seed and master here. Um, and yeah, and that was collaboration with Mickey with that,
Yes.
and also Ajam, who is enlightened master. Um, so those two were actually, you know, created. I would say they
Right.
created both together. It was their art um, that focused on, like you said, healing and transformation.
Yes, absolutely right. And so how I came into this was we were invited into this group. And so I was able to go with my teacher, Taria, amongst the whole group of us. And then we ended up doing this itinerary, right? And I don't know if
Yep.
we'll get to every single thing that we did, Arvind, but we'll try to do high level, high pieces that were like most amazing and transformative to I guess really be able to share one what's possible for healing, miracles and magic that really happens on this path and practice, especially when you go with a group of people that are the like-minded, like heart, like spirited way. Powerful things can happen, as you probably can testify, right? So I have
Yep.
I had no expectations. I was just gonna go along for the ride. And I want to say how it started was our first day going to visit Kurama. And as we were about to go up onto the mountain, on top of the mountain, there's a Buddhist temple. We set our intentions for ourselves and we spoke it out loud of what it is that we would like to heal, transform while we were here. And I don't know if you remember yours, Arvind, but I remember mine was wanting to heal and transform grief and loss, in my heart. And I think also in addition to my own grief and loss because of my work that I do with therapy and healing, there is a lot of grief and loss that can come up with my work with clients. And I felt like not only did I want this healing for myself, but I wanted to be able to share this healing capacity and ability with my clients and my work, right? And I really felt like I got that. But yes, do you have your intention?
Yeah. So my intention to what I wanted to release
Yeah.
was I wanted to release anything that I perceive from my eye.
Yes.
Remember? So
That's funny.
um, it's my understanding or how
Uh-huh.
I feel,
Yeah.
uh, how I had felt, I guess,
Uh-huh.
is that I I process things or understanding things from what I see.
Mm.
And eye is a strong thing, like that captures,
Mm.
captures and affect our
Mm.
brain,
Mm.
mind, being, right? Like you
Mm.
can like stimulate by looking at something like, oh my God, or like,
Yes.
wow, so beautiful.
Yes.
You know, Nowadays we totally can understand, right?
Yes.
All the medias. So, um, but I wanted to see beyond that, right? I wanted to see not through the eyes, but I wanted to see actual being through what I perceive from my eyes,
Mm.
to the core. So I wanted to get rid of understanding by visual
Yes.
that I perceive. I think that's like where the gist of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to release and what I wanted to gain. So there was a second part, right?
Uh-huh.
What we wanted to release, then there's a space to
Yes.
gain.
Yes.
And that was to um, becoming just like this body of light, or like, it's no particular way,
Mhm.
but really just like a just light, that pure, that radiates, nothing specific directions or specific personality in a way. So fluidity, that was my other intention from the previous one. But yeah, so wanted to be like a body of light.
And it's perfect because I think when you're saying that and I'm looking at your background, I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. And I feel like what I can remember from what I wanted to gain was having a way to process grief and loss that could be joyful. I know it sounded very like impossible at the moment when I asked it, but that was kind of the intention. And so then we go up the mountain and, Mickey showing us all these amazing things. I don't think she showed us or could have showed us everything because I mean, I feel like we only saw 10% of the whole mountain and the everything that was there because there was so much.
Yeah.
But then I remember we go up to there's this fountain, right, with this beautiful dragon that's like pouring water out of its little mouth, this little statue of a dragon, so beautiful. And um, we were to take a sip of it, the water, swish it around, spit it out, and then also use that water kind of like touch it on our bodies for a physical blessing, where we felt like we might need it and stuff like that. So was that your first time doing the water thing with the dragon? Or is that you
No, I I've gone to Kurama, you know, a previous trip when
oh yeah.
it was like last last fall equinox,
Okay.
right? That time was the very first time I met with Mickey in
Oh yes.
person.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Me too. Me too.
yeah. Then that time, yeah, we did the same ritual, and
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
Nice. Okay, very cool. Because then the next piece was we go underneath the stage. It's so interesting. In the
Mhm.
monastery, there's this ginormous Buddha, right? Ginormous
Mhm.
Buddha, and it's on this platform. There's steps going up to it, and very clearly, people sit in the front. You meditate. Maybe monks come in and chant and do their sutra stuff. But behind the stairs, we go under. We crawl under. It's like a super secret passageway, and there's just space to sit. So we sat, and there's kind of these like bars because you can't crawl under more. It stops you. But essentially, the Buddha has his little mudra, and there's a rainbow rope wrapped around its hand, and it comes down right through the
Mhm.
bars, and it's like
Mhm.
tucked in this little wooden box. And we could take the rope out of the box, and we all held on to a little bit of the rope. And I was like, okay, already so weird, but very cool. What's going to happen? I'm going to hold on to rainbow rope underneath this Buddhist, platform.
Yeah.
What was your experience there?
Yeah, we're like this beautiful outside,
Uh-huh.
spacious place,
Yeah.
where we can see whole, um, whole temple. Buddha
Yeah.
is just front of us.
Yeah.
Then like we go, like very small, scooch down,
Uh-huh.
crawling under,
Crawling,
very
crawling.
uncomfortable. Well, actually, once we go in, sit down. It was not too bad. Not, I mean, it was comfortable actually.
Yeah, you could
It's
sit.
just
Your
that,
head didn't hit anything.
yeah, we couldn't just stand up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was very tight, you know, tight, tight situation. Same time, it was, it was like a, little tribe feeling, right? Like we are very close. We don't get so close usually because we are Buddhist.
Oh, you don't? You don't?
Wait, I mean, those like sacred moment, right?
Yeah,
Like when
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah, yeah.
meditate, we like
Right, right, right.
respect the
Yes,
space. Of course, we don't
exactly.
want to touch each other, but we are like kind of touching each other because we had to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
While we had a rope. But story was really beautiful, right? That rope is connect to the Buddha realm, and
Yeah.
which is pure and or Heranyaroka, many names, but it's a higher realm that we can connect with the rope.
Right,
And
right.
as we are holding that together, it's like, we as a group focusing on that beautiful places and heading there was very, very, very uh, yeah, beautiful experience.
Yes. And you're reminding me, I wanted to share with the audience and listeners that because you also speak Japanese, you were a key translator for me and the rest of the participants on the trip.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't think I knew that the whole rope connected to like the Buddha land, and I don't know if I knew that. I don't know if I,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
but it makes sense
now you
because
know.
now I
Yeah.
know. Thank you. And I want to jump ahead a little bit, right? Because we went to that spot again, like a second time, I want to say. And I want to share real briefly my experience then. You actually captured a picture of me then, which is so, so ironic and beautiful. It was the second time we went under there and went to go hold the rope.
Mhm.
I had this incredible seeing and vision, and what it was I saw my being in this rainbow colored rope. It's so like this column of rainbow rope
Mm.
within my being as I was holding on to this rope.
Oh, wow.
And then I felt like through that meditation, the rainbow rope unraveled, and it like just spread out like lines of light to like eternity, all directions in the world. And it just felt like Buddha moving through me, right? And then like using my being and the ropes to just like shine light and be a light to all beings. And it was the coolest feeling, the coolest feeling.
Wow.
Yeah.
That that's what real like that's actually what's the energy behind it for the rainbow rope. I think because
Mm.
it's coming from the Buddha realm, which
Mm.
is you know eternity, wishes from eternity, where entire world is is covered by rainbow, right? With
Yeah.
yeah, beauty. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah. And then when I shared that with Taria, she mentions like, oh, that was the intention that I had for all of us holding on to the rope. I was like, oh, well, came true.
Nice. Yeah.
And then
It's
as
really.
you will also hear, for those people listening, is on this trip, I kind of got a nickname called Naughty Ekajati, which I really love. I really, really
Yeah.
love because it's so filled with love.
Yes.
And because I absolutely was feeling like Naughty Ekajati. I don't know if you saw this, Arvind, but after the meditation holding the rope, because there's the bars, I like reached my hand in as far as I could to see if I could touch the Buddha, the base of
Oh
the Buddha.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh.
couldn't, but I was trying. I was like,
Maybe next time
oh, really? You
you
think so?
you can you gain the power to extend your
Oh,
arm.
I was like, if I could just touch the Buddha. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was fun. That was really fun. So
Yeah.
then I feel like the next super cool place was another temple, also on Kurama. And I use my language because I don't know if there is any words to describe it, but we go into the basement of this temple. And this temple has all these, it looks like little porcelain vases, like just kind of maybe this small, something like
Mhm.
that. And then like the ceiling had these really cool like metal like lanterns, and there's all these Asian characters, Chinese or kanji characters on there. And I think I asked you, Arvind, but yeah, I think I asked you, I was like, what are this? Because for a minute it looked like urns. And I was like, maybe are these ashes from people's, cremation,
Yeah.
which makes sense to me. It actually didn't freak me out because when our body, we leave this body and we become the ashes and stuff like that, it's like, sure, I wouldn't mind some of my ashes staying with Buddha, in this amazing temple. Like it felt very Buddhist to me. But when I
Mhm.
asked you, what did you say? That you're like, no, I don't think it's ashes. You're like,
Yeah.
well, it's not ash.
So it's totally valid that you felt it's ashes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I found
Uh-huh.
was that it's actually a hair,
Mm.
and the hair is considered as your like double or your
Like
other
a
you, your
DNA strand.
yeah, you're part
Mm.
of you, very
Uh-huh.
connected by you. So by putting in a special sacred pot
Yeah.
and being there, it's a very sacred place, right? We
Yes.
call inner sanctum or we call inner
Yes.
altar.
Yes.
But it's not secret, but it's like, very special place as you
Yes.
saw
Yes.
in that underground.
Yeah.
So, we can ask temple to prepare and place there. I heard some Sangha mates actually did that during their trip.
How much does that cost? Oh, I'm so curious.
Um,
Do you remember?
I want it was like five something. It could be like 5,000 yen or 50,000 yen.
Oh,
Um,
shoot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
which yeah, which it makes sense. I think price wise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes me have maybe a wish list. I'm gonna put on my wish list.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then, so the characters that I saw, is that their names? Is that correct on each of the like
I
bases?
believe I believe so.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
I,
very cool. Yeah, very, very otherworldly. And when I walked down there into the basement of the inner sanctum, I told Ajahn, I was like, this feels like Doctor Strange world. Like literally feels like Doctor Strange. You know, when Doctor Strange movies has the inner sanctum. You know, they have those sanctums, those buildings that look like regular city buildings, right? The one that they had in New York, but you walk in, it was like this whole other world and these crazy like artifacts and relics and powerful objects. Remember, that's how like Doctor Strange got his cape,
Yeah.
because he was like going around. It's like this cape like wants to follow him, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very much this vibe
I
as I
love
go
that
in there, I was
movie.
like, whoa, and it's super dim lit. So after coming out from outside, I like could barely see anything. I was like, what? And just being super careful to follow the person in front of me because I didn't want to bump any of the vases, because I was like, oh my God, what would happen with karma if I, I broke
And then
a
the
vase?
all dominoes.
Oh my God. Totally, because they were
Yeah.
so neatly tight, allocated on the shelves and stuff. So
Right.
so walking in, and then there's these three beautiful statues, right? And you have to remind me of the names of each of them and what they
Yeah.
represent. Yeah, that we
Yeah.
went to each kind of just do a little respectful thing. They were
Yeah. So there were, like you said, three of them.
mm,
First one, as we, I guess I'm gonna start with the one that we see as we walk in.
mm,
First one is Senju Kannon. Senju Kannon means a thousand arms cannon, Kwaian. Um, some culture called Amarokite Shibara.
uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So it's the emanation, sorry, it has an energy
Mm-hmm.
of love,
Yes.
compassion,
Yes.
and it represents also moon,
Yes.
right? And then next statue
Uh-huh.
is
Oh, and can
Bisham.
I also say the Senjun Kado, she has a very feminine
Yes,
emanation. Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
feminine with many, many
Arm.
arms,
Yes,
powerful being.
yes, yes.
Um,
Good.
Next one
Yes,
is the Bishamontem,
yes.
which represents or energy represents the uh, light,
Mm.
and which also means that he's a sun, right?
Yes, son.
And
Hmm.
he's this badass warrior,
Very masculine. Very
looking,
masculine.
yeah, has a armor, yes,
Mm.
kind of scary face,
Mm.
and but it's a yeah, very much like guardian, masculine
Yes.
type.
Powerful. Powerful. Yes.
Now the last one
Ah.
is Mao-san.
Awesome.
Mao-san. He's the emanation of Sanat Kumara.
Mm.
And Sanat Kumara is ascendant master, and he came down. Sanat Kumara or Mao-san. It's basically same thing.
Aha. Hi.
Like
Yes.
Japanese name, right?
Yes.
6 million years ago
Oh.
to Kurama Mountain,
Mm.
and he's basically the guy of Kurama, Mount Kurama, Kurama Temple, meaning he's like a main character, as
Ah.
I understand.
Uh-huh.
And his energy represents the power, right? Power. And also it means the earth.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So moon, sun, earth,
Yes.
or love, light, and power.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So,
Yeah. So those were amazing that we went to kind of see it. They were all these ginormous statues, right? In this basement, if you will. And then it's like, okay, time to get comfortable and sit and have a meditation. I was like, oh, okay. And so everyone's trying to get seated and stuff like that. And again, not bump into any of the vases because I mean, seriously, you could have, could have. It was dark. And did you have any experiences that you really recall from that meditation or any of the meditations you've had down there?
My gosh, yes,
Mm-hmm.
many.
Yeah.
The one particularly I really liked was when we are meditating, um, I saw a golden rocks. A rock looked like a lava rock in Hawaii, right? Like
Oh,
something like behind your, on your background.
yeah, yeah.
But it's made by pure gold. It's shining,
Wow.
radiating
Uh-huh.
golden light, of course. Um, we were all sitting there. We all who are meditating together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and what I felt was like as we are on that realm, on that space, whatever we wishes on this moment and in that space, it will
Mm-hmm.
come true.
Wow.
So it was the a place where anything is possible. That
Mm.
has like unlimited um, opportunities and possibilities that uh, we all were given. It was just like the space was
Mm.
a place of like wishing to Chintamani, right?
Yeah, infinite
Um,
possibilities. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So that was a
Yeah.
very special, like direct feeling of that
Wow.
realm. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have any seeings particularly, but very much a very a spaciousness. I felt very much in a different world, in some like outer space, very pure energy. And I remember Ajahn mentioning this blue light that he felt and saw down in the underground, right? And as soon as he said that, I absolutely felt, because I don't see it necessarily. When I see things, I feel it. And I could feel exactly what he was talking about. So then after he said that, I started calling that place, where we meditated, the Smurf light, because back in the day, if you ever watched the cartoons with the Smurfs and the blue color, I like totally felt like that blue was like the perfect capture of that energy color there, right?
Nice. Mm-hmm.
So my names for that place was like the Underground, Doctor Strange, and Smurf Light. So it was cool. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fun.
yeah, super fun because this is how my brain works. Everything is like associated with a movie.
Mm, yeah. Movie animes.
Right, 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 right.
Nice.
And then I remember, and see, I know we're kind of combining multiple visits, at this temple into one, but I don't know how else to do
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
when we
That's
go,
perfect.
when we're up on the like ground level or the temple grounds, right? There was this beautiful kind of like geometric shape in the carving of the tiles, right? I don't even know
Yep.
how to describe it. And
Yeah.
that place, go ahead. Did you want to share some stuff about that energy of that place? It's really cool.
Yeah. So it's the big mandala.
Yes.
Uh, oh my God. I don't know how to say in English. It's called a rock say. Um,
Uh-huh.
I think it's like has a like six like spike on it, and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
you know what we did there, we did all sorts of things
Yes, we did. I want to talk
on
about
there,
it.
like
I want to talk
yeah,
about it.
we're like it's a place where it's like most iconic um, area of Mount Temple, sorry, Krama Temple.
Hmm.
Um, People stand middle of the mandala and they
Yes.
open their hands, or they they do all sorts of stuff they want to do.
Yeah.
Um, but what we did as a group
Yes.
is we started in the equal distance around the mandala. So there were like 6 people
Mm.
on the corner of this rock
Oh.
bose, and we and one person stand in the middle,
Oh.
and we looked at the person in the middle, and giving giving wishes, giving basically meditate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just connect with this highest dimension, or they
Mm.
also meditate, but it's just a place where you can connect to this very powerful dimension. So yeah, what um, that we did one by one. So people rotated, and one by one, from one corner,
Mm. Mm.
person went in the middle, and we did those like meditative experiences together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
I want to add maybe just kind of a visual for people, maybe so they can imagine this. So imagine this, beautiful temple grounds, right? There's like trees and nature surrounded by hills. We're in the mountaintops. We're high up. We had to climb a lot of stairs to get this high, a little bit kind of like a Zen master's, abode. And there's this gorgeous physical structure of a temple, and there's like the open doorway where you can see in, where the statues of Buddha are within there. There's like this urn for the incense to burn, and it's on this like cement structured platform, but it looks like here's the floor and here's the temple where it starts. So you're kind of looking up into it. And on this floor is where that geometric shape is. And also, I feel like, Arvind, there was something I remember Mickey saying, like when we stood in the middle of that, when we looked up, not only above to where the temple was, kept looking up to like where the mountain backdrop behind it, there was like some energy line that was coming down. I feel like maybe the planet Venus or something like that. Remember something?
Yeah, planet
Channeling
Venus,
there, and
probably.
it came down the mountain and right into that point of this like geometric mandala, which then I
You know,
also heard later on it was like a representation when you stood on there where you're like standing on top of Buddha's head or something like that. Did you hear that one thing too? Did you hear that?
no, that was special for you. Just kidding.
Oh,
Uh,
but there
standing on
definitely
the
was a lot of energy
head
there.
of the Buddha. Um,
I don't know.
that sounds really cool. I
Yeah.
don't, I mean, I don't remember standing on the head of the Buddha, but I think
Think
the
about
BNS
it.
is right because,
Yeah.
um, and I kind of remember that. I definitely remember Mickey said looking up the mountain, and we
Yeah.
all did, and we were like, wow, that is actually like
Right.
something. That mountain is like the energy from the mountains
Yes.
flowing
Very
down
much.
here. Yeah.
Very much. And very much when I was standing in the center of that, there was, this intention of really opening to receive it. And then I know we went there a couple of times. And do you remember the time where I didn't feel like I was wanting to be naughty, but I wanted to lay down. I wanted to lay down
Yes.
on the
Yeah, I was
um,
gonna mention that too.
geometric mandala. And this, you have to realize there's people walking around, kind of tourists and stuff, and also maybe practitioners who come visit the temple and do their thing.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel, we're like, oh, I don't know if we can lay down. But thankfully, we had a whole group. So we just kind of stood in a line and waited for everyone to go lay down in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I like saw anything when I laid down, but I just felt very clearly that I wanted my whole being to just really absorb and capture that energy, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you feel that? Did you feel anything?
Yeah. So that was very creative, special experience because, like you
Mhm.
said, it's the tourist. I mean, it's a place where very public,
Yes,
not
public.
like open, like
Yes.
it's like a place where everyone who
Yes.
uh, wants to go. It's a destination,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and people take pictures,
Yes. Of course.
um, and we were like laying flat on the middle of this uh, considerably sacred place. But
Yes.
what what was interesting though,
Yeah. What happened?
it didn't look. I mean, we made it that it it was like very respectfully,
Mm.
um, you know, laying down there.
It sounds terrible. Don't
And
do this anywhere
yeah,
for people listening. Be really mindful of your surroundings.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we didn't like goofing up. Didn't seem like goofing around. We were like really like kind of serious, like coming into the dojo kind of feeling,
Yes, I
right?
felt that. I felt
Yeah.
that.
So because of that energy, we had like maybe 7 people did like back to back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
But there was one guy, like random guy,
Oh,
from
somewhere.
some
Not our
foreign
group.
country. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
not our group.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I'm gonna do the same, and he just like
I saw that.
did the same thing, and he was very bright, happy afterwards.
Mm.
So it was a special, like co-creation we did that raised somebody's experience in the next level. So I
Yeah.
thought it was a really uh, very good gesture of
Yeah.
us actually.
No, thank you for saying that. I 100% agree. And you're absolutely right. That energy that when I was there in the center laying down, very much felt like dojo martial arts etiquette. That I remember when I got up, I felt inspired to face the temple and in seiza, in kneeling position, bow,
Mm-hmm.
so then to come stand back up. And then I don't know if you remember this, but Taria shared with me that when you had laid down in the center mandala, however you moved your hands, but when you did, like a whole bunch of cherry blossom petals, just
Yeah.
like snowflakes.
Mm.
And I love that metaphor, and I'm sharing that with everyone that's listening today because the cherry blossoms was the perfect time when we went. They were
Mm-hmm.
blooming and they were blossoming, but at the same time, there were some petals that were falling. And I received so many tremendous teachings from those cherry blossoms. And
Yep.
one of the things from Taria sharing that there was like a snowfall of cherry blossom petals when you laid in the center of the mandala,
Yeah.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
it gave me the sense and feeling when I would see some others have that experience too of like,
Mhm.
I felt for me like just so much was getting shed and let go, whatever that needed to
Yeah.
be let go and dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, very, very powerful stuff in the most beautiful, gentle way, not
Mm-hmm.
like big tsunami waves crash. It was a very
Yeah.
Japanese aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
remember that?
I,
Yeah.
I, I, I was not looking at from outside, but
Ah,
I, I remember the feeling of,
yeah.
you know, I connected to the universe, like far away, right? When
Wow.
I intentionally put my heart like behind the center of the mandala and looking up, right?
Oh,
So it was like my heart become this pole,
yeah.
um, or like conduit to the
Yes.
to the universe, and I
Wow.
shot up there.
Yeah.
Then really like great meditation, like completely dissolving,
Yeah.
and just the moment there was like eternity, so it's like no time and
Yeah.
space. So it was like short but huge, long,
Yes.
profound, and yeah, I when I bow, I felt like it was like washing through, something was washing through my
Wow.
being, and yeah, it was like, oh, we that team there kind of made something together, of this like, shift,
Yes.
shift of the energy of this place, or this like experience, that time.
Yes. Yes.
That was
Oh, you make
beautiful.
me want to cry in like happy ways because yeah, I felt that. And if I can share the one big teaching that really struck me from the cherry blossom petals, because sometimes whether there be wind or no wind, sometimes you just see little flakes of the petals and they're just so gentle. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
one time we were waiting. I think maybe Ajahn was on the phone or something. So we were waiting, right? And we're waiting or just walking a little bit on the temple grounds, taking photos, doing the kind of touristy things. And then finally it was kind of sitting and then just being there. And I kept seeing these cherry blossom petals just falling to the ground. And I was watching it and it'd be so beautiful, and the way
Mm-hmm.
they landed would be so gentle. And I thought, oh my gosh, this was the lesson and teaching I came for. Because in wanting to heal grief and loss, it's so often where people meet that with a lot of resistance, and they make it really hard, and oh, they're tearing up and crying and they're miserable, and it's like so much
Yeah.
suffering. And then I was watching how these cherry blossom have bloomed in like utter perfection. And then they just finish blooming and then their petals just fall away like light and feather, like super, super, very, subtle. And I was like, maybe grieving and loss and the healing from that can be just as gentle, just as beautiful. And it doesn't have to be hard. It can be really this beautiful thing that just really captures our attention. And I
Mm-hmm.
that has stuck with me so much, Arvind, especially on this path, this meditation path, because we work to increase our personal power. So there's a lot of we do martial arts, right? And so
Yeah.
where do we really have room for gentleness? I feel like now I'm just coming into this awareness around the perfection, the beauty around gentleness. And the cherry blossoms, man, I was like, oh, it can be gentle. Oh, when I train, it can be gentle. When I go through transitions and stuff like that, it can be gentle. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, oh
Yeah.
yeah. Did you have thoughts
Well,
on that?
it's,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
both gentleness and kind of intensity.
Mm.
They are like yin and yang, right? So
Yes.
I think that, understanding, the hard part, which is what our school, or so
Yeah.
far, I guess,
Lineage
um,
thing. Yeah.
lineage, traditional way is like
Yes.
where you just be a warrior,
Mm.
just get killed, stand
Oh
up.
no, don't get killed.
No, get killed, the ego,
Yes,
right?
thank you.
Then like stand up and,
Keep
move,
going. Yeah, never
keep
give up.
going, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, but then like, that moment of getting your ego getting killed,
Mm, mm,
it
mm, mm.
it's a space, right, where it's an opportunity
Yeah.
to be renewed. So it's like you're gone, but then that gone is a space for creation, right? So like
Yeah,
otherwise there is nothing, no space for that.
that's
So
right. Ego takes up
um,
so much space.
yeah, so sakura falling down and becoming a tree is is to give another opportunity for the tree to have a moment of becoming new. Because
Yes.
they will look different, or they look different day by day, right, on the
Yes.
sakura season.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And that is created because sakura was
Yeah. Yeah.
falling.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love Japan. I love Japan so much. And then so now I want to jump a little bit to another, awesome place on Kurama
mhm.
that we stopped by, which was, well, I don't know the actual name, but I call it the Dragon Forest because I feel like that's where I met the dragon. And that's also where there was a lot of tree roots. And they
Mhm.
said that the tree roots and that whole forested area, which they had some like wooden benches made so people can sit there and stuff like that, was the
Yep.
birthplace of Reiki, which I did not know that. That was
Mhm.
very cool. Can you say more about that place too? That maybe I'm forgetting anything else?
Yeah, so it's a place. Well, the place itself look like uh, out of the world. It's the a lot of roots,
Yes.
thick roots coming out from the ground,
Yes.
and um, tall trees, beautiful trees, and kind of like you said, a flat area where we can hang out. So
Mhm.
it's a place where the founder of Reiki meditated for 21 days straight.
Oh, there.
Um, yeah, there.
Oh.
And it's called also Meiso Dojo. And
Oh.
Meiso is meditation in Japanese.
Oh.
So it's a discipline place of true meditation.
Ah.
Um, and after 21 days, there was a grace from the universe for him to get the special power, right?
Yes.
So um, yeah, that's a place. So yeah, we
Yes.
did some exercise there too, right?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Mickey gave us
Yes.
some healings.
Yes. She did some sound bowl healing for us there. And that day, at least the first time I was there, it was a little bit kind of rainy, stormy. So it was a little bit cold. I remember having my
Mm-hmm.
rain jacket on and I was like
Yeah, it was cold.
bundled up and I was like, oh, it's so cold. And listening to Mickey doing the sound healing with the intention of continuing to focus on what we wanted to heal and transform within ourselves, right? So I said, okay, yes. So
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there meditating, right? Hearing the sound bowls and the wind is just going through the trees. So super noisy, right? And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And it was such an amazing seeing because I kept feeling something kind of like flying like through my being. And I was like,
Mm.
not really sure what was going on. So I just kind of tried to be like still and meditative and allow it to do what it needed to do. Cause I was like, okay, it felt like it was healing something. And then after we finished the meditation, and I think we were all talking and sharing our experiences, it came to me that I was like, holy shit, it was like this dragon being that was going through my being. And it felt like as it was like, like those dynasty Asian movies where those dragons are mythical and they fly through the
Mm-hmm.
air. That's what I would felt like it was doing within my being. And every
Mm.
time I would do that, it started out the color black at the head and
Mm.
then it would end up gold colored. And I realized it
Oh.
was transforming something in like this very alchemical way. And then it made me think of the Japanese thing called kintsugi. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where pottery that is broken is
Mm-hmm.
mended with this golden like thread glue. And I
Mhm.
literally felt like the dragon was doing like kintsugi on me. It was literally
Oh,
like putting
wow.
gold glue to like heal
Nice.
all the stuff that needed to be healed. And I felt like it
Very,
literally left some
very
kind of
cool.
like essence imprint in my heart chakra. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow. And it felt very pure, clear, powerful energy, right? Just this gift of this like transformative healing piece. And I could
Mm-hmm.
feel like it then like taking the main template from a heart chakra and going into all my additional chakras up and below it. So like all my chakras got filled with this energy. And I swear, even to like the next day and the day after, I kept feeling this like dragon energy. It was so cool. It was so cool. Did you feel
Mm.
that? Did you feel the dragon like that? Or did you
I think our group, everyone felt a dragon that day.
okay,
It,
yeah.
but I didn't see that the golden and the black
Uh-huh.
dragon.
Uh-huh.
I think I saw a blue dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, huge dragons that like yeah, right. But um, you said exactly what I saw, what I felt was like
Yeah.
they were just like going around us and going through us, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, your dragon sounds very cool. Your dragon sounds cooler than mine. Um, but you know that place and that day was very rare because
Yeah.
any other day I went there maybe like 10 times
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
Um, never had that much wind, and
Yeah.
it was a it was a like dragon wind.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I get goosebumps. I know. You're absolutely right. Oh my gosh. I know. I felt like literally the wind, as strong as it was when we were sitting there, literally, yeah, felt like dragons were flying through the air. It was like that
Mhm.
powerful. Yes. And actually, funny, just to clarify, thank you for loving my black and gold dragon. What I realized, because I ended up going back there one more time with Taria to sit, and very, very, very light wind, nothing like you said, like in
Mhm.
our group. But I was talking to one of my friends, and like, oh, what color was the dragon? And when I thought about that, I was like, yeah, what color is the dragon? It made me think of like the color, that iridescent color. Oh, here, it's kind of like, if you can see, kind of like this color. The dragon, his little
Oh wow,
scales, like little kind of like
greenish.
greenish, but it has blue in it. It was kind of this iridescent marbly color. And I
Yeah,
realized
beautiful,
that
beautiful.
was its kind of like base color, but it
Mhm.
changes its color based on what is necessary. And I felt like part of the healing
Mm.
that was necessary for me was taking all the black shit out and
Oh, I see.
transforming it to the
That's the
gold.
energies. Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Wow,
yeah. So
that's really cool.
that's cool
Yeah,
that
my
you
dragon, I think looked like this in my
blue color.
background.
Mm.
By the way, this is also from Kurama. Actually, this picture is from Kurama at the top of the, uh, at the temple. We
Uh-huh.
saw this, what we call the sun ring. So in the middle,
Uh-huh.
this way,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that's
I
the
see.
sun.
Yes, hi.
And you see like a
Yes.
big ring
Yes.
around it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's auspicious time. We could see it from, of course, from our eye,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it was our week, and you know, the dragon was like this color.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have a newfound respect and relationship now with dragons, and yeah,
Mm-hmm. Me too.
specifically.
Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. I think from my cultural background, being Asian and growing up Asian, I am aware of dragons in this kind of mythical sense. It comes in stories. You see that, on prints and decorations a lot because it represents so many positive things. But this time I had a cool experience with the actual dragon. So I love that so much. I love that.
Yeah, it was so real, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's
Wow.
there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So then I feel like just to kind of wrap the last big chunk of like a very transformative experience was when we met Junko for our little
Mm-hmm.
reading. Junko is
Yeah.
Mickey's friend. Also, I don't know, she would say she's a healer. She's probably more channeler, right? Very
Yeah.
mystic channeler,
Yes.
channeling ascended masters. That's her thing. And Junko and Mickey are sisters in Starseed world. So they have
Yeah,
a
from
super cool.
Andromeda.
Yes, from Madonna. So they have a very cool connection. And we got to make a trip to go see Junko, and she was in the Koyasan area, whole different area with a whole different set of temples and stuff that I can't wait to go back and explore. Um, we go into this one temple, and this temple has the largest Vairocana Buddha statue. It is so big. So it was like 2 stories tall, and it looks so heavy. I was like, seriously, I don't know how things are holding it up. And it was Vairocana, and then he had its like retinue around him. And I don't know, do you know all the other Buddhas or Bodhisattvas or goddesses that were around him? I don't know all
I
their
think
names.
I believe all of them are Biokana.
Oh, all of them are Vairocana?
Yeah, it's a bunch of Biokanas.
Oh, really?
I think so. It looked to
Oh,
me
that's so
all of
cool.
them are Biokana. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I so wish I took a photo, but of course they said no photography, so I was trying to be respectful. So I didn't take a photo, but I
Yeah.
wanted to take a photo so bad. Uh,
Yeah.
but so we go into this amazing, beautiful temple, and after we bowed and gave our respects to the Buddha, we ended up kind of walking to the side, and there was kind of a little more space to sit as like people were going around, and Junko was going to do a little like reading for all of us. And did you want to share? Would you like to share, Arvind, what Junko did for your reading, and then we can share mine?
Yeah. So,
Sure.
hmm.
It was short too, by the way, just for everyone listening. It was a short
It
one because
was short.
we were short on time. We had to go back and catch our bus that was going to drive us back.
Oh
So we're like,
gosh.
so we only had like 2 minutes each, literally. So this is
That was
short but incredibly
hilarious.
powerful.
Just that day we were just like it was the busiest busiest what do you call like the tightest schedule
Yes.
um a spiritual trip for sure. Anyway, it was
And then,
great.
and then can I just add in, just to give
Yeah,
people listening just an idea of how tight the schedule was Junko had one car
yeah,
and she can sit 4 people
yeah.
comfortably, and that includes the driver. Okay, that's like
Right.
comfortable. And we had like 9, whatever, right, in our
Uh-huh.
group or whatever the number was, and it was like, okay, jump in the car. Junko's gonna drive you. Get off. Okay, she's gonna go back, pick us up the other group. And like, this is how we were trying to shuffle to like
Yeah.
cut time because walking was too slow. I mean, this is how tight the schedule was.
And she did an amazing job. She was like flying, like speeding, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Oh God,
Jinko.
I
But
know.
yeah, she found us for some reason. Like we were just walking, right? Like
I know.
other portion of the group.
Yeah, I
Oh, we
know.
have to go too.
Yeah.
Why did
Yeah.
others are transported?
Totally. And then
Yeah.
the one trip that I got into, I was sitting in the back and Ajahn was next to me, and it was like 3 in the back and 1 in the front. So this is
Oh
super
wow,
tight in the
tight.
car. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was talking to one of our friends, and they're like, "Oh, so you got a sardine blessing?" I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I got a sardine." Because our sardines are like fish
Dude.
in a can, and
Yeah.
they're all super tight.
Oh yeah.
And since I was sitting next to Ajahn, it's like, "Oh, you got a
Wow.
sardine blessing."
Wow. Compressed, more
Yes, yes,
tasty.
yes, yes.
Wow, that's special. Wow. with Arjun. That's great.
Yeah. That
Uh,
was funny. That was funny. Anyways, go ahead.
yeah, so I got the card of third eye that time,
Oh,
and it was, I think it was like an energy and the cosmic kind of card, right? We we
yes,
picked.
yes.
Um, I'm like, wow, like I never really thought like I'm like third eye connected being.
What?
Um,
Really?
well, I thought more like mm, Neville. Um,
Yeah,
it's the one that I developed a lot of, just through the life, through the
yeah,
spiritual practices.
yeah.
And I focused on the heart a lot because
Oh, yeah.
like I need it. Like, I was like
Yeah.
super weak about it.
Uh-huh.
Um, but anyway, third eye, I'm like, oh, interesting. Maybe that's the next level. And
Oh,
and you know what um, derived from that is, oh, I now see the world through the universe. After the Japan trip and I integrated that experience, I realized that I can see each thing, each interaction or each beings in a different lens, right?
yes.
That was very much like that that a picture of third eye. That third
Uh-huh.
eye was
Uh-huh.
on the cosmic realm, like the
Okay.
background of it, the character of third eye
Yes.
chakra,
Yeah.
and then background it's like the universe.
Yes.
So
Yes.
like, aha, that now it's all coming together. So
Uh-huh. Wait, I want to add something too also for the listeners is um what Arvind is talking about is Junko had this kind of like a card deck, a spiritual card deck, and it had various symbols and pictures on it, and she had us all pull one to see what message we can, just have from that space in the temple with Vairocana. And it was like a message that was supposed to be very personal to ourselves and the intention from the whole trip, right? So I think I really see Arvin like all this like theme of eyes. You're like, okay,
mhm,
I want to see differently. You get a third eye thing, and then oh my gosh.
mhm.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And then did
What
you want
about
me?
you?
Oh, my card that I pulled.
Yeah.
So I was really trying to pay attention to every detail on my card. So there's a couple things that I feel like I don't necessarily know the understanding meaning of, but I saw this number one in the top corner of my card. So I was like, okay, interesting one. And it was a very brilliant red color chakra of the root chakra, with this triangle facing downward in this like
Mhm,
root chakra little mandala. And it was this fiery red color, and it was hovering above the earth. Like you could see earth, kind of the bottom part of the earth here. And there was like a white light anchoring it down. But this was like this root chakra is emanating this red light in space. And I was like, ooh, what does that mean? And as I feel like I've kind of unpacked it more, it's fascinating because I feel like it was very much a teaching lesson for me. I find myself maybe more like introverted, quiet. So I'm not, on the podcast, I am very like, animated. And I guess that's within my being, but I don't necessarily go out into the world. I'm more quieter,
yeah,
like,
that's great. You have both. You
yeah,
have
yeah.
both sides. Yeah,
So on this one,
that's
I
good.
just felt like really eternity universe is asking me to really maybe tap into and strengthening more and allowing more that emanating red kind of fiery piece come out a little bit more, which I feel like was very aligned with my name Ekajati, right? Because it's like for just all of my societal Asian female conditioning, it's always like quiet, yes,
Yeah,
don't be loud, don't
I mean,
be,
me too.
don't, yeah. Really
Yeah, I mean, it's Asian female
condition.
definitely
Yes,
stronger.
yes, yes,
But
yes.
me, I had I mean, I can resonate on that.
Yes.
As just the Asian
Yes.
typical
Right. Very
condition. Yeah.
quiet. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I felt like it was a really powerful, powerful picture, and it was just super glowing. And I'll go ahead and share the channeling bit that I had with Junko, because this is the very funny thing that I talked to Arvind like multiple times after the channeling, like, what did she mean? What did she say? Because Junko also only spoke Japanese, so can only get it in Japanese. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? And in the moment, the question for Junko was like, how is there something I don't know that would be helpful for me in my work? Whether it was, in regards to healing and being a healer therapist and stuff like that with clients. And what she had to say was, she started with, welcome, Ekajati. We're surprised you're here. And I was like, what does that mean? Why are you surprised? And supposedly oh, by the way, supposedly she was channeling Varokana, through
Yeah.
this. So I was like,
Right.
surprise, I'm here. Dude, I've been like doing this practice for so long. I'm Buddhist and I was like, what's going on? And then it goes on to say, when you first translated it, Arvind, you said that I was very playful. But actually, when we talked about it later, what the exact translation is, I'm very naughty and I don't like to listen. And this is why Vairocana Buddha was like surprised that I actually made it, I guess, or showed up. And I was like,
I Yeah, my take on was it was like a response to your, personality. It doesn't mean like, oh, I'm really surprised. It means like kind of, he was also, or he or she
yeah.
were was also a being naughty to you,
Yes, I felt that. I very much felt
right?
that. That's why
Yeah,
we were having this exchange, and I was like, "What do you mean?" Inside.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I absolutely felt, and I think I shared it with you, Arvin, is I felt so seen. I like that's the first time I've ever felt like really seen for me, because it's so easy for people to see me and be like, oh, Ekajati's so nice and gentle and sweet. And I'm like, no, I'm not all the time, or whatever it is. It's like they
Hmm.
don't see maybe all of me. And it's along with a lot of conditioning process. I don't let other people see a lot of that, right? It's not the norm. So it was such a fun channeling that the final piece was, no matter how naughty or violent or rageful I get, I always will reside on the palm. And that was really meaningful for me because in Chinese like storytelling, folklore, childhood stories, there is the story of a monkey king, and he is able to do all these transformations of himself to so many different things. But in the story is, no matter how much he transforms himself and tries to run away from like whatever he's trying to run away from or being mischievous about, he always resides in the palm of Buddha's hand. And that was super touching for me because it reminded me of like how much we're always in eternity's palm of her hand, right? No matter how much we feel like we want to get away or leave or whatever it is, it's like, no, eternity, she is so incredibly beyond and so much that we're always part of her, or she's part of us. So that was really
Yeah.
beautiful for me. Yeah. What about for you, for your channeling? Did you get any really cool insights?
Um, so my channeling actually happened at the not at the temple, but at the like bus stop, because
Oh, because
we
you
didn't
didn't have time.
have time. Yeah, so I
Oh,
just
oh
got the
shoot.
car that time. But no, the channeling was um, really cool. My
Yeah.
question was, hey, what can I like? How can I grow as translator, right?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and Junko channeled with a Saint Archangel Gabriel,
Oh yeah.
and Archangel Gabriel is it's a master or the angel realm of translator. He or she bring this the words of God into the human realm, right? Like
Oh,
it's
nice.
they're the one that came to Saint Maria saying, "Hey, you're gonna be pregnant of Jesus," right?
Oh,
They
cool. Okay.
they're the one that brought that message to,
I see.
um,
I see.
and so the message was like, "Hey, so um, you the most important things for me is to bring the goodness of bring the best part of them um, who are speaking to who I am translating to
Mhm.
or translating from, sorry,
Yes. Yes.
um, and deliver that to the audience,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
um, of course, no ego in it, no like not no like obscurations, just
Yeah.
translate everything, but make sure the one that's speaking from can deliver those the beautiful dimension to
Yes.
the audience. So
Right. Right.
it's the uh, it's very true. Like I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. So I'm like, okay, we're in agreement. And what he said is really, really like, call me
Mm.
whenever you have a translation, then I'll be there. So I have a picture of
Oh.
Gabriel on my phone.
Oh.
And when I do translation,
Oh. Beautiful.
which I did many for Sangha after
Yes. Yeah.
after our trip on the Zoom. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
But Gabriel really helped me.
Oh.
So
Oh.
it went pretty well. Yeah.
Wow. Which on that note, I do want to take a minute to really, really thank you, Arvind, for being on my trip, because it was such a treasure to
Mhm.
have you there ready to translate anything and everything from Mickey and Junko
Mhm.
and stuff like that. It was so incredibly helpful and supportive, and it just really added that depth and dimension, including the heart and the light, from it, because it just wouldn't have been there if you weren't there translating that stuff, right? So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
my pleasure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Are you gonna go be a full-time translator now?
we'll we'll see. I don't see it yet, but
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm
anything
teasing.
is hot possible.
Yeah, I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you.
Yeah.
But any other events or happenings or lessons that you can think of from
Yes.
Japan trip you want to share? Yeah, go ahead.
So I wanted to share two things. One is an experience, and second one is the second one is my kind of realization of through this trip, a
Yeah.
healing and transformation
Yes,
trip.
please.
So, experience I had, the most powerful one, it was on April 11th at Miki's house. We had a group healing that time,
Mm,
and
yes.
when I had um, uh, kind of personal attention from Miki,
Yeah.
like each of us,
Yes.
each of us who were there
Yes.
got like personal blessings, right,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
during
Yes.
that time. What I felt was my whole being dissolved into a golden sand, and it it become like a, desert, like Sahara or something,
Oh.
very dry, small grain
Oh,
sound, and my being just like become that the sand,
okay.
golden.
Okay.
There was wind, um, flew that entire tide of sand, and I became like nothing, or there was
Mm.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the UFO came up. Uh,
I know you guys saw. I didn't see this
um,
whole thing.
but okay, we're going down, right?
Yeah.
And on top of my being being the field,
Yeah. Yeah.
UFO come up like doo, 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 doo. And there was a beam like
Yeah. Yeah.
really like you see on the SF world like when the alien like landing, right? Like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
beams come down,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and the beam was like rainbow color beam,
Oh. Yeah.
and that beam shining at the ground
Mm.
started like coding, like programming coding on my body, on my body,
Ooh.
over my body,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
it was like uh, uh um, you know, completely new feeling, but it's like rainbow color,
Hmm.
um, and I was constructed by the beam of beam
Light.
from the UFO,
Yeah.
and just completely renewed
Yes.
in my just experience, right?
Yes.
So that was very interesting. um, I felt super renewed. Sorry,
Yes.
coffee.
You know what? Let me go ahead and if I'm gonna jump in
Yeah,
and add into this,
sure.
Arvind, is I totally get what you're saying, and I actually totally felt like I experienced that as well. It was I didn't feel like it was a UFO, but I can totally understand what you mean by it. It felt like there was a whole world, a planet that
Mm.
came really close over to where we were
Yeah.
having our group healing, and this world energy, whatever it was very high beings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely was coding our
Mm.
systems, and similar to like that rainbow light doing code, it made me think of Matrix. You know how the Matrix
Yeah.
movie, there's all the green little coding,
Yeah. In the
and they would
background.
like
Yeah.
do little, that's what
Very
I felt
similar. Yeah.
in. Yes, agree. Yeah, same but different, but yes. Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
that constructed like rainbow body from this uh, nothingness,
Yes.
and that was very beautiful, and yeah, uh, that that was the most powerful moment. And astrologically, that day I had this
Yes.
Mars conjunction, like one of the most powerful day on in this year was that day
Oh.
for me astrologically. So
Oh, cool.
wow,
Yeah.
that was very special. My actually last healing session uh, during Japan trip was that day.
Yeah, I remember, I can remember how meaningful and powerful it was for you, because how you were sharing your experience afterwards. You just look so different also. You
Mm,
just like, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I felt like wow,
Yes.
uh, it's out of the world, out of the universe.
Yes.
UFO is real, and I also wrote this experience on my Facebook post,
Yeah.
and Facebook post, it, like we can speak this, and like yeah, because we actually experienced it.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but if like my friend
Friends.
who
Uh-huh.
have no idea spirituality, they probably think I'm crazy. But what I wanted to really point out
Yes,
to
yes,
the
yes, yes.
post was like it's your choice to believe this or not. Like,
Yes.
um, and what I wanted to really show in that sharing is there's thing that there's many uh, experiences and reality that one hasn't encountered.
Yes.
So what you believed in is in this box. So if you can believe what I'm saying and feel it, it means you are like they are open-minded and they you know there's basically many reality outside of the what we know, what we think it's like. So anyway,
No, I'm going to add on to that. And thank you
yeah.
for mentioning that. I 100% agree. And I want to add this kind of like disclaimer, if you will, for those listening, which is these experiences, whether you feel like they're weird or they're magical, real or not true, that's your choice to believe, right? But what I want to put out there is I hope that for those listening, you can hear beyond the storytelling, the light that comes through from this, right? These experiences, because that's essentially what Arvind and I are wanting to capture and share with everyone out there, that this light, this purity is possible and it's available to us through spiritual practices. And that's not just to be like, oh my gosh, cool, let me go on a trip and go look for aliens and UFO. That's not what I or Arvind are saying. I want to say that this trip, this powerful trip, came from so many years, myself, 16, I think maybe 17 years of discipline, seated practice, meditation, morning and night, not missing a day. I'm not even joking. Like, that's how freaking serious I pushed this discipline with martial arts training to have reached the level of black belt, where I'm saying all this to say, Arvind and I both having so much time on this path and practice, and now talking about UFOs and all this weird, cool, magical stuff, also is balanced out with very real, tangible, life grounded aspects in our life. Like our life is in order, our bills are paid,
Yeah.
it's not like we're living in a tent or anything like that. I want to really clarify that for the listeners out there, because it's very cool to go on these spiritual journeys and have mystical experiences. And please, 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 you have to anchor that and ground that with real life career success, financial responsibility, right?
Oh yes.
Healthy eating. You're not eating, junk food all the time, like physical exercise that's like really in your body. So I really want to just highlight that with what you said, Arvind, is these were amazing magical experiences from Japan. But let's also help the listeners remember that I didn't start off like this 100%, because that would have just really not
Me
been
too.
grounding at all,
Yeah.
right? It took, and you're a black belt yourself, like it took a lot of warrior like discipline to be able to like hold ourselves together, have these amazing experiences with dragons in the forest and like UFOs, and be able to come back into our life and go, okay, how does that light from that mystical experience can help put more light into my life? Then how can I share this light to everyone else, which is the whole premise of what we're doing here, right? Which I'm
Yes.
so grateful to you, Arvind, for sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And
Thank
then
you. Thank you for
you're
that.
welcome. You're welcome. And then you said one last thing for ending. Like, what was the
Yeah.
big takeaway? Yes, let's hear
So
it.
so this trip was what we mentioned in the beginning. It's about healing and transformation.
Yes.
And what I took away, or my takeaway, is that I um, I felt like I encountered true healing. What true healing means through Junko, Miki, and even Turia's
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
where she had her like parts that not needed was falling away, and she was born again.
Mm.
And Miki, she said decide that I heal today
Right.
when we are receiving the healing
Yes.
session.
Mm-hmm.
And Junko
Mm.
said that healing, this is from her book actually,
Oh,
it's healing is not done, healing is not done by somebody else. Healing is done by yourself, myself. So that was interesting to me. Like we had healers who can heal us, but essentially what I
right.
realized is that we have to find where it needs to be healed.
Yes.
That's the really hardest part for each of us, because we tend not to look at those painful moments.
Of course.
And we kind of want to be strong and kind of go beyond those painful moments. We can do that. We can do no problem. It's fine. But truth is, if we don't fix those, if we don't let go of those, it will be there forever. It will be carry on life
Yes.
by life.
Yes.
So in Buddhism, in our school, we um, we focus on Buddha nature. We talk about seeing Buddha nature in everyone and ourselves.
Yes.
So this is a secret teaching that we find the 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 opposite of Buddha nature. I don't know the name yet.
Hi. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
people can comment if they have a good name for it. But it's finding your non-Buddha nature, like the deepest
Mm, mm,
pain,
mm.
and you apply your healings or be available yourself to a healing space with the greatest intention of being healed,
Yes.
right? So it's again, we can be happy. I personally didn't really focus on those like healing portion per se, like especially self healing. We tend to look for how can we help others. But when we look ourselves, finding our non-Buddha nature, or whatever it is, or
Yeah.
positive Buddha nature, it's
Right.
not even non-Buddha nature. It's the deepest, like darkest, most painful portion of our
Mm-hmm,
being,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and apply healing there is to find the highest potential of ourselves. So I think it was very special teaching through this healing and transformative trip that we all received, where we become this like best best of us, or best of the being, by
Yeah.
looking kind of other side of our this bright being.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love everything you just said, Arvind, because that non-Buddha nature, at least that aspect that feels so painful. I would maybe use the word samskara, maybe, right? Which my understanding, my definition of samskara is just like a knot of essentially our lightness being knotted up, right? Because of pain, because of bad old behaviors over and over again. It's kind of like when you walk in a bad posture or when you train in a bad posture over time, your knees hurt or you have some kind of injury, because that's like the samskara. It's like holding all that injury, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we have to go in, like you said, with our intention and recognition of we are going to heal this. We are going to do it. And that's so powerful when you say it like that, because I 100% support that. That's what I practice. That's what I share and teach in my work and also with students is That's personal responsibility. That's personal accountability to go in and work out those knots from the samskara, to unravel it, and
Yep.
like that rainbow rope when you're holding on to the Buddha, right? And then just feel it expand out in lines of light and sharing that with everyone so that more beings can benefit from that, right? So, yes, I say yes to that. And
Yes.
I agree. Thank you, Mickey, Junko, and Ajahn deeply for these teachings and this healing
Yes.
trip. And
Yes. Totally.
oh,
100%.
yeah. And thank you, Arvind, for coming and sharing like some of these
Thank
really
you, Ekajati.
personal
Okay.
experiences. So thank you.
Very happy to be here, talking with you, talking to the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.